The meeting room on the neutral space station hung in silence. Ambassador Nathan Cole straightened his formal uniform one last time before the doors slid open. This was humanity's first official diplomatic contact with the Galactic Empire, an interstellar civilization spanning thousands of worlds across 3 spiral arms. Cole entered the chamber with measured steps. His team of 4 advisors followed behind, their faces calm despite the weight of representing all of humanity. The Empire's delegation already waited, tall beings with iridescent skin that shifted colors beneath their ornate robes. "Welcome," said the Imperial representative, Lord Xarvoth. His translator produced flawless English. "We are pleased you could attend this historic meeting." Cole nodded respectfully. "On behalf of Earth and all human colonies, we extend friendship and look forward to peaceful relations between our civilizations." Xarvoth's skin rippled with blue patterns. Amusement, Cole's cultural briefing had explained. "How generous of such a young species. We have reviewed your development history. Quite remarkable to achieve space travel with your limited resources." One of Cole's advisors, Dr. Susan Miller, tensed slightly at the condescending tone. "We have much to offer in trade and cultural exchange," Cole continued. "Our scientists have developed several technologies that might interest your people." "Indeed." Xarvoth gestured to a holographic display that appeared between them. A star map materialized, with boundaries drawn in glowing lines. "This is the current territorial division of this sector. As you can see, your solar system and nearby colonies fall within Empire space." Cole frowned. "With respect, Lord Xarvoth, Earth has never acknowledged imperial authority over our region." "A formality we can now correct," Xarvoth replied. "The Empire brings stability and protection to all worlds under its governance. Your species will benefit greatly from our oversight." The room temperature seemed to drop several degrees. Cole's diplomatic smile faded. "I believe there's a misunderstanding," he said. "We came to establish mutual relations, not to discuss submission." Xarvoth's skin darkened to purple. "There is no misunderstanding, Ambassador. The Empire has claimed this sector for 8,000 years. Your species simply wasn't advanced enough to be informed until now." Dr. Miller slid a data tablet toward Cole. He glanced at it, then back at the Imperial delegation. "Lord Xarvoth, history shows that humans don't respond well to demands. We genuinely wish for peaceful cooperation, but we won't surrender our independence." The Imperial guards shifted positions, hands moving closer to their weapons. Xarvoth's tone hardened. "Your species has barely left its cradle. The Empire has subjugated civilizations far more advanced than yours. Perhaps a demonstration of our military power would help you understand your position." Cole stood slowly. His advisors followed suit. "In my briefcase," Cole said calmly, "are historical records of every war humans have fought among ourselves. Thousands of years of conflict. While your empire expanded through the stars, we were perfecting the art of war against each other." "Is this meant to impress us?" Xarvoth asked. "It's meant to warn you." Cole gathered his materials. "Humans have never united against an external threat before. We've never had the opportunity. I suggest you consider what a species that has survived countless wars might be capable of when finally given a common enemy." Xarvoth's skin flashed with patterns of contempt. Empty threats from a primitive world. Cole paused at the doorway. "We'll continue these discussions after you've consulted with your leadership. For your sake, I suggest you run." The Imperial delegation erupted in laughter as the humans departed. Later that day, the Empire's council approved plans for a minor military action against the Mars colony. A simple demonstration would bring these humans to heel quickly, they reasoned. They didn't understand that humans had been anticipating this moment for generations. The Empire's first attack came 3 days after the failed diplomatic meeting. Their warships emerged from hyperspace near the Mars colony, energy weapons charged and ready. The Imperial commander, Sublord Drescor, expected minimal resistance from what intelligence described as a minor mining outpost with basic defensive capabilities. Target their main habitat dome, Dres Corps ordered. A single demonstration should be sufficient. His weapons officer complied, and brilliant beams of energy lanced toward the red planet below. But instead of striking their target, the beams scattered against an invisible barrier, dispersing harmlessly into the thin Martian atmosphere. Impossible, Dres Corps muttered. Their scans had shown no defensive shield technology. Aboard the defense platform orbiting Mars, Admiral Alice Wright watched the Imperial ships with calculated calm. She had evacuated all non-essential personnel from the colony 2 days earlier, converting the entire facility into a military installation. They're using standard draconic energy weapons, her tactical officer reported, just as our intelligence suggested. Wright nodded. Activate adaptive shields and prepare countermeasures. For decades, humans had been studying fragments of alien technology recovered from crashed scout ships and ancient ruins. While officially making first contact only recently, humanity had been preparing for this moment far longer. The Imperial fleet adjusted formation, bringing additional ships to bear on the colony. Their shields are unlike anything in our database, the Imperial science officer reported. They appear to be adapting to our energy signatures in real time. Dres Corps frowned. Impossible. This is a primitive mining colony. On Mars, defense batteries emerged from hidden bunkers beneath the rusty soil. These weren't the crude projectile weapons the Empire expected. Each cannon housed technology reverse-engineered from salvaged alien craft. All batteries have target lock, reported Lieutenant Ben Foster from the Mars Defense Control Center. Admiral Wright gave the order. Fire. The Imperial fleet had no warning before the barrage hit them. The adaptive projectiles changed their energy signature mid-flight, passing through the standard Imperial shields as if they weren't there. 3 smaller vessels erupted in flames before the remaining ships could adjust their defenses. Return fire with all weapons, Dres Corps shouted. The space above Mars lit up with energy exchanges. Imperial technology was more advanced, but human defenses had been specifically designed to counter their particular weapons. The Empire had conquered 1,000 worlds, but they had grown complacent in their superiority. Back on Earth, the Defense Council gathered in emergency session. Admiral Wright's battle report appeared on their screens in real time. The Mars defense is holding, General Paul Wilson announced. But this is just their initial probe. Intelligence suggests they're assembling a much larger fleet. President Laura Gardner studied the tactical display. How long before their main force arrives? 5 days, maybe 6, Wilson replied. Professor Alan Knight, Chief of Weapon Development, spoke up. We need more time to deploy the quantum disruptors to all our defensive positions. Gardner turned to the military leadership. Options. Admiral Wright's voice came through the communication link from Mars. We can't wait for them to gather their full strength. I recommend immediate counterstrike against their forward base in the Kuiper Belt. We have the element of surprise while they still think we're primitive. The Council debated briefly. Some advocated for defensive positioning, others for diplomatic attempts. The Empire had underestimated human resolve and technological advancement, but humanity remained outnumbered. We strike, Gardner finally decided. Admiral Wright, you'll lead the operation. Hit their staging area before they can organize. Show them that humans aren't the easy conquest they imagined. As the Council adjourned, General Wilson approached the President privately. The Empire has never lost a war in their recorded history. Gardner's expression remained resolute. Neither have we, General, because unlike them, humans have never stopped preparing for the next one. In orbit around Mars, Admiral Wright received her new orders. The Imperial ships were already retreating to regroup, having lost 7 vessels with minimal damage to the human defenses. Prepare all ships for immediate deployment, she ordered. The Empire wanted war. We'll give them one they'll never forget. Captain Ryan Martinez stood on the bridge of the U.S. Defiant, watching the stars streak past as the ship pushed its engines to maximum. Behind him, 5 other vessels followed in tight formation. This wasn't the largest fleet humanity could muster, but it was the fastest and most advanced. ETA to Imperial Staging Point, Martins asked. Lieutenant Kate Williams checked her display. 17 minutes, Captain. Our approach remains undetected. Martinez nodded. Human ships had one critical advantage over Imperial vessels. They were nearly invisible to standard Imperial sensors when traveling at certain speeds. This wasn't by accident. Earth's engineers had been studying Imperial detection technology for decades before first contact. All ships, final preparations, Martinez ordered through the fleet channel. Remember the plan. Hit fast, strike hard, then scatter before their reinforcements arrive. In the tactical center below the bridge, Williams made final adjustments to her AI combat system. Named Athena, the artificial intelligence analyzed thousands of combat simulations against Imperial ships. HFY is showing a 93% prediction rate for Imperial response patterns, she reported. Their command structure is too rigid. They follow standard protocols even when the situation calls for adaptation. Martinez smiled grimly. That's their weakness. They've conquered so many worlds, they've forgotten how to face an enemy that fights back. The small fleet dropped out of hyperspace directly behind an asteroid that concealed them from the Imperial staging area. Before them floated 12 Imperial warships, resupplying and repairing after the Mars engagement. They're completely unaware, Williams confirmed, watching sensor readings. Athena suggests they don't even have defensive shields at full power. Martinez opened the fleet channel. All ships, execute attack pattern Sigma. Weapons free. The human vessels split into 3 groups, approaching the Imperial fleet from different vectors. Before the Empire could react, the first volleys struck their largest ship's engine sections. Direct hits, Williams called out. Their command ship is disabled. Imperial ships scrambled to defensive positions, but they moved with predictable precision. Athena had already calculated their most likely formations and transmitted targeting solutions to all human vessels. Second wave, fire, Martins ordered. Another barrage hit the Imperial fleet, this time focusing on communication arrays and weapon systems. 3 more Imperial ships drifted helplessly, venting atmosphere into space. On the Imperial command ship, Lord Commander Vexnar watched in disbelief as his fleet fell into chaos. Impossible, he hissed. How did they bypass our early warning systems? Unknown, Lord Commander, his second reported. Their weapons technology appears more advanced than our intelligence indicated. Vexnar's communication officer turned from his station. We're receiving a transmission from the human fleet. Martinez's face appeared on the Imperial view screen. Imperial Command, this is Captain Ryan Martinez of Earth Defense Force. Your fleet is disabled. Surrender your vessels. Vexnar snarled. The Empire does not surrender to primitives. Our reinforcements will arrive shortly. I'm counting on it, Martins replied calmly. We left a few surprises in their path. As if on cue, reports flooded the Imperial command ship of devastating minefields deployed along standard Imperial hyperspace routes. The reinforcements would be delayed for hours. Final warning, Martinez continued. Evacuate your damaged vessels. We have no desire for unnecessary casualties. Aboard the Defiant, Williams monitored Imperial communications. They're sending distress signals. Their reinforcements are acknowledging but reporting they can't assist immediately. Martinez nodded. Begin recovery of Imperial data cores from the disabled ships. We have 20 minutes before we need to withdraw. The human fleet worked efficiently, retrieving valuable intelligence while avoiding direct fire from the remaining Imperial defenses. The Empire had never faced an enemy that struck without warning and retreated before bringing overwhelming force. By the time Imperial reinforcements arrived, the human fleet had vanished, taking with them crucial tactical data and leaving behind a devastated Imperial staging area. In the Imperial capital, Emperor Zethkor received the battle report with growing anger. These humans, he demanded, what exactly are they? His advisors had no satisfying answer. Humans didn't fight like any species the Empire had encountered before. Emperor Zethkor paced the grand chamber of the Imperial Council, his skin flashing dangerous patterns of red and black. The assembled High Lords remained silent, watching their ruler with careful attention. Two defeats, Zethkor finally spoke, his voice dangerously quiet. First at their colony, then at our own staging area. Explain how this primitive species has managed what 1,000 civilizations before them could not. High General Mekvar stepped forward, bowing deeply. Majesty, we have analyzed the battle data. The humans appear to have specifically designed their weapons to counter our defenses. This suggests they have been studying our technology for some time before official contact. Impossible, hissed Science Minister Trell. Our scouts would have detected such activity. Unless, Intelligence Director Sorelen interrupted, they detected our scouts first and deliberately concealed their true capabilities. The council chamber fell silent as the implications settled over the gathering. The Empire had never encountered a species that practiced such deliberate deception during first contact. We have a prisoner, Mekvar said, a human commander named Daniel Foster. His ship was disabled during their retreat from our staging area. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. And what have you learned from this prisoner? A holographic display activated in the center of the chamber. It showed a human male in a simple cell, sitting calmly despite his captivity. He reveals little under questioning, Sorelen admitted, but our behavior analysis is disturbing. Unlike most species, he shows no fear of the Empire. Instead, he displays what our experts identify as tactical patience. Bring him to me, the Emperor commanded. When Foster was escorted into the chamber an hour later, he walked with steady confidence despite his restraints. He showed no awe at the grandeur of the Imperial Palace or fear at facing the Emperor himself. You are the first human to stand before an Emperor of the Galactic Dominion, Zethkor stated. Do you understand your position? Foster nodded respectfully. I understand completely, Your Majesty. Then explain why your species resists what 1,000 others have accepted. The Empire brings order and protection. Foster's expression remained neutral. Humans have a saying, one man's order is another man's oppression. We've spent our history fighting against those who would control us. The Emperor leaned forward. Your species has existed for a mere blink in cosmic time. How could you possibly hope to stand against an empire that has ruled for millennia? For the first time, Foster smiled. That's precisely why we can fight you. While your empire grew comfortable in its power, humans have been fighting each other constantly. War is in our history, our literature, our very DNA. We've never known the luxury of peace. In the shadows of the chamber, undercover scientist Dr. Lena Harris listened carefully. Posing as an imperial xenobiologist, she had infiltrated the highest levels of the Empire's scientific community. As Foster spoke, she discreetly recorded every word, preparing to transmit the information back to Earth Command. The Emperor signaled, and historical records of Earth appeared on the chamber displays. Centuries of human conflicts, world wars, cold wars, and regional battles. We've studied your violent history, Zethkor said dismissively. It merely confirms your primitive nature. You misunderstand, Foster replied calmly. These weren't setbacks in our development. They were evolutionary pressures. Each conflict drove innovation, adaptation, and ruthless efficiency. While you conquered compliant worlds, we were forging ourselves in constant combat. From her hidden position, Dr. Harris transmitted data on Imperial fleet movements. The Empire was gathering its largest force in centuries, over 3,000 warships preparing to move against Earth. Foster noticed the Emperor studying him with new intensity. You still believe your numbers will overwhelm us, Foster observed. That's the mistake every empire throughout human history has made. And what mistake is that? Zethkor asked, genuinely curious. Believing that victory goes to the larger force rather than the more adaptive one. You fight as you always have. We evolve with every battle. As Foster was led away, the Emperor turned to his council. Prepare the Armada. We will crush this human resistance with overwhelming force. None of the council members noticed Dr. Harris slipping away, the vital intelligence already on its way to Earth. The Empire was coming, but humanity would be ready. Dr. Noah Peterson stood before the gleaming black device, his tired eyes reflecting the pulsing blue lights along its surface. For 3 straight days, he had barely left the underground laboratory beneath New Geneva. "Final tests complete," announced his assistant. "The quantum disruptor is fully functional." Peterson nodded, allowing himself a small smile. "Begin production immediately. Every defense platform and warship needs to be equipped within 72 hours. The quantum disruptor represented humanity's technological leap forward, a weapon that didn't just penetrate Imperial shields but temporarily disabled the laws of physics within its target area. The theory had existed for decades, but only the captured Imperial technology had made it possible to build a working prototype. Across the solar system, similar breakthroughs were occurring as humanity prepared for the coming Imperial assault. In orbit around Jupiter, Commander Olivia Grant reviewed the mission plan with her Special Forces team. The 12 men and women around her represented the elite of Earth's military forces. "Intelligence confirms the Imperial shipyard at Proxima Centauri is operating at maximum capacity," Grant explained, pointing to the holographic display. "Dr. Harris' last transmission indicates they're constructing specialized vessels designed to counter our adaptive shields." A soldier raised his hand. "How do we approach the shipyard undetected?" "The Empire will have increased security after our previous strikes." Grant smiled. "We're not using our ships." She gestured, and the hologram changed to show an Imperial supply vessel. "Thanks to data captured in the previous engagement, we can perfectly mimic Imperial identification codes. We'll approach in one of their own ships." Meanwhile, aboard the Earth Defense Headquarters, Admiral Wright conferred with the global military leadership. The massive holographic display showed the positions of every human warship and defense installation throughout the solar system. "The Empire believes their technology remains superior despite our initial victories," Wright explained. "They don't understand that humans have been secretly studying their technology for over a century." General Samuel Cooper frowned. "A century? First contact was only made months ago." "Official first contact," Wright corrected. "But we recovered our first crashed Imperial scout ship in 1947. Since then, every major government has been reverse engineering their technology while maintaining the appearance of normal technological progression." In space, Commander Grant's team successfully infiltrated the Imperial shipyard. Moving silently in stolen maintenance uniforms, they planted quantum charges at key structural points throughout the facility. "Remember," Grant whispered to her team, "we're not here to destroy the shipyard. We're here to capture their newest technology." While Imperial supervisors directed the construction of their newest warships, Grant's team disabled security systems and downloaded the complete technical specifications of every vessel under construction. "Charges set," reported Lieutenant Frank Wood. "Ready to create our diversion." Grant checked her timer. "Synchronize with the main attack force. Detonation in 3 minutes." At that exact moment, Admiral Wright gave the order for the first full-scale human offensive against an Imperial core asset. 40 warships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system, their weapons already firing. The Imperial Defense Fleet responded with practiced precision, moving into standard combat formations, exactly as predicted by the ATGENA tactical system. Human vessels executed unpredictable maneuvers, concentrating fire on key command ships while avoiding the heaviest Imperial weapons. Inside the shipyard, Grant's team felt the station shudder as external battles began. "Now," she ordered, activating the charges. Rather than explosions, the quantum devices created localized field disruptions, temporarily disabling all energy systems in their vicinity. Alarms failed, doors froze open, and Imperial troops found their energy weapons useless. Grant's team moved quickly through the confusion, securing the prototype of the Empire's newest warship. "Package secured," she reported through her encrypted communicator. Beginning extraction. Across the system, human forces demonstrated tactical flexibility that baffled Imperial commanders. Ships attacked in seemingly random patterns, targeting unexpected systems and retreating before counterattacks could be organized. Admiral Wright watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. The Empire built its strategy on overwhelming force and superior technology, she told her command staff. But humans built ours on adaptation and unpredictability. The massive Imperial Armada emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, their warships filling the void like a metallic storm cloud. 3,000 vessels, from nimble fighters to planet-destroying dreadnoughts, moved in perfect formation toward Earth. Emperor Zethkor himself commanded from the flagship, determined to witness humanity's subjugation personally. After the humiliating defeats in the raid on their shipyard, nothing less than total victory would restore the Empire's honor. All ships maintain formation, the Emperor ordered. Commence the attack as planned. On Earth, Major Elizabeth Clark stood in the Global Defense Center, watching as red dots filled the holographic display. The moment they had prepared for had arrived. They're following standard Imperial invasion protocols, she reported to the Unified Command. 3 waves, with heavy bombardment vessels in the rear. President Gardner nodded grimly. Activate the orbital defense network. Deploy all ships according to Plan Sierra. Clark issued the commands, and across the solar system, humanity's defenders moved into position. Unlike the rigid Imperial formation, human ships dispersed into seemingly random patterns, utilizing planets, moons, and asteroid fields for cover. The humans scatter like insects, Emperor Zethkor observed with disdain. Begin the first wave attack. 500 Imperial cruisers accelerated toward Earth, their weapons charging. They encountered no resistance at first, advancing unopposed until they reached the orbit of Mars. Then, without warning, space itself seemed to come alive around them. Thousands of small, unmanned drones emerged from hiding places throughout the asteroid belt. Each was barely larger than a shuttle, but they swarmed the Imperial ships from all directions. These weren't the primitive weapons the Empire expected, but AI-driven combat platforms equipped with quantum disruptors. Enemy vessels detected, shouted the Imperial commander. They're targeting our navigation systems. The drones moved with unpredictable patterns, making them nearly impossible to target. Imperial gunners fired into the swarm, occasionally hitting a drone, but missing dozens more. Maintain formation and continue the advance, ordered the wave commander, following standard protocol. This was exactly what humanity had anticipated. The Imperial ships stayed in their vulnerable formation, allowing the drones to concentrate their attacks on key vessels. Within minutes, the first wave was in disarray, their rigid command structure unable to adapt to the chaotic battlefield. The first wave is failing, reported an Imperial officer to Emperor Zethkor. They've lost cohesion. The Emperor's skin darkened with rage. Launched the second wave immediately, overwhelmed their defenses with numbers. 1,000 more Imperial ships surged forward, bypassing their struggling comrades. This time, they faced the main human fleet, which had positioned itself in the shadow of Earth's moon. Admiral Wright gave the order. All ships, activate quantum shields and engage. The human vessels emerged, their newly developed shields glowing with blue energy. When Imperial weapons struck these shields, the energy didn't just dissipate. It was captured and redirected back toward the attackers. Impossible, shouted the Imperial weapons master as his own energy beams reflected back, slicing through Imperial ships. The battle erupted across the Earth-Moon system, with human ships fighting with a ferocity the Empire had never encountered. Unlike Imperial captains who relied on central command, human commanders made split-second decisions based on changing conditions. On a small stealth craft, Lieutenant Jack Morgan and his infiltration team approached the Imperial flagship undetected. Their mission was possibly the most dangerous of the entire conflict: to board the Emperor's vessel and offer one final chance to end the war. "This is insanity," whispered one of Morgan's team as they docked with the massive ship. Morgan checked his weapons. Sometimes the craziest plan is the only one that works. As the battle raged across the solar system, 3 Imperial fleets found themselves in disarray. The humans had studied Imperial tactics for generations and designed perfect countermeasures for each one. Emperor Zethkor watched in growing horror as ship after ship reported critical damage or complete system failure. The Imperial Palace on Centauri Prime had never received a human delegation before. Its towering crystal spires and gravity-defying architecture were designed to humble visitors, to remind them of the Empire's power and majesty. But Ambassador Nathan Cole walked through its grand hallways with the same calm confidence he had shown at their first meeting. 3 months had passed since the Battle of Earth. 3 months since Emperor Zethkor had given the unprecedented order for Imperial forces to retreat. Now, the formal peace negotiations would begin. Cole and his team were escorted to the Grand Council chamber, where the Emperor waited with his highest advisors. The massive room fell silent as the humans entered. Ambassador Cole, Emperor Zethkor acknowledged, his skin patterns carefully controlled to show diplomatic neutrality. The Empire welcomes you. Cole bowed slightly. Thank you for receiving us, Your Majesty. Earth looks forward to establishing lasting peace between our civilizations. The formalities completed, they moved to the negotiation table. On it lay the draft peace treaty, the result of weeks of preliminary discussions. I must admit, the Emperor said as they reviewed the document, in all our history, no species has ever forced the Empire to such terms. Cole's expression remained measured. We never wanted to force anything, Your Majesty. From the beginning, we sought only equal standing and mutual respect. Imperial Science Minister Trell leaned forward. Yet you concealed your true technological capabilities. You studied our systems for decades before revealing yourselves. We did, Cole admitted. Earth's history taught us to be cautious. When we detected your scout ships a century ago, we had to assume your intentions might not be peaceful. A reasonable precaution, acknowledged General Mekfar, who had gained new respect for human strategy. Your species thinks differently than any we have encountered. The treaty before them outlined the new relationship. Earth and its colonies would remain independent, while opening trade and cultural exchange with the Empire. Imperial expansion would respect human boundaries. Most surprisingly, the treaty contained no punitive measures against the Empire despite their attempted invasion. Your terms are unexpectedly generous, the Emperor observed. Many conquering civilizations would demand reparations or territory. Cole shook his head. We're not conquerors, Your Majesty. We never have been. Humans just want the freedom to determine our own future. As they signed the treaty, Dr. Lena Harris watched from among the human delegation. Her years undercover in Imperial society had given her unique insight into both civilizations. The true challenge begins now, she said quietly to Cole. Building trust after conflict is harder than winning the war itself. Cole nodded, but worth the effort. Humanity has spent too long fighting itself. Perhaps peace with the stars will help us find peace at home as well. Across the Empire, the story of the human conflict spread rapidly. Many worlds initially received the news with disbelief that the mighty Imperial Armada had been defeated by a single planet and its handful of colonies. But as Imperial soldiers returned home with their accounts of the battle, a new understanding emerged. On thousands of worlds, a phrase entered common usage. When humans warn you to run, you run. 6 months after the treaty signing, the first Imperial cultural exchange mission arrived on Earth. The visiting dignitaries were surprised to find themselves welcomed warmly by most humans, with no lingering hostility despite the recent conflict. How do your people move forward so easily after war? Asked an Imperial cultural attaché to Major Elizabeth Clark, now serving as military liaison to the visitors. Clark considered the question carefully. Because humans understand something the Empire is just beginning to learn, that former enemies often make the strongest allies. In his private chambers, Emperor Zethkor reviewed reports of human Imperial cooperation projects already underway. Trade routes were being established, scientific knowledge exchanged, and joint exploration missions planned. They could have destroyed us, he remarked to his advisor. Their quantum weapons could have laid waste to our core worlds while we focused on Earth. Yes, the advisor agreed. Instead, they offered peace the moment we were willing to listen. Zethkor looked out at the stars, thinking of the small blue planet that had changed everything. Perhaps that is why they are truly dangerous. Not because of how well they fight, but because of how earnestly they desire not to. In Earth's orbital diplomatic station, Ambassador Cole and Emperor Zethkor shared a quiet moment, away from their respective advisors and the formal proceedings.